I'm Brian.
And I'm Logan. We're Crush Cards. And welcome to our new series, Breakfast and Banlists. So everyone's been putting out their Banlist prediction videos. So we're going to do something that we love along with another thing we love. We're going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're going to eat.
So as you guys can see, we got this for $12 at Nationals, right? We got it at Nats last year, and we've been waiting for an occasion to open this and eat this. So we figured this would be the best way to start the series by eating not only breakfast, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Approved breakfast.
It's Bloopy. Bloopy breakfast. The Blue Eyes White breakfast. If you're at home, feel free to grab a bowl and some cereal or some toast or whatever pleases you in the morning. And join us while we talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And eat this possibly subpar cereal. Alright, cool, let's taste it! Go team!
It's like a little bit more sour version of like Fruit Loops. I kind of like it, honestly. I think it's pretty good.
I mean, it's not bad.
I have low standards for breakfast.
Like, after chewing several times, it tastes more like Fruit Loops, but the initial taste is like perfume-scented like mothballs. But it gets better. You just gotta make it through. It's kind of like life. It's not so great at first, but it improves.
So over the last couple months, we've had the privilege of going to, what, 4 or 5 different events, whether they're Nats, regionals, YCS. We went to one YCS, right? And a lot of people think that this format is kind of stale, and I guess we would semi-agree with that. There's the same decks that are running around for probably the last year almost, but they are just different variants of the deck. So we just wanted to talk about the ban list, and we could maybe help this situation and help the format to evolve a little bit more into a level playing field, and one where there's not only the same 3 decks that we've had for the last year or so. So starting off with the banned cards, I think everyone is kind of hoping for Orcust to take one of the biggest hits. For Orcust, I think the first banned card we have is
Babble. So Babble should be banned simply because it lets you play on your opponent's turn in a way that is basically like you're having another turn and your opponent is not getting their turn. So if you can use Babble and get all of your monsters' effects off, whether it's on field, in grave, using IP or whatever means you need to, it's absolutely unfair. You're basically interrupting your opponent's board before they can even have a board to be interrupting with. It's absolutely whack. If Babble was gone, Orcust would be much more of a competitively fair foe rather than just them just demolishing you before you even get to turn 2, because you don't get that far anymore.
And even if you do, like, having the IP combo and then being able to get another body or 2 other bodies, and then just going into something like Trisbane to pop all the back row, or to go into Zeraboros to clear entire fields, or just Bomber Dragon just to blow up your entire opponent's board. It doesn't promote fair game state, and it's just not fun to play against. But next,
White and Black Baby Dragons.
Yeah. I think Orcust is a very strong deck, and one of the other decks that we've played against a lot that is also unfair is just like the Gumblar Loop deck, which is the safer Thunder Dragon combo deck where they just rip 2-3 cards out of your hand, whether it's with the Trishula Fusion or it's Diablos or Chaos Levy in the air. Like, starting your turn with 3 cards is also not a fun game state. I think if we were just banning White and Black Dragon, that would hurt the Safer combo, because that's typically what Safer goes to search. Yes, Safer could clearly just search the other cards, but I do think that it would slow the deck down a little bit, and it would make it a little bit more fair.
And that's it for the ban list, folks. Now we're moving on to Limited. Since we're on the topic of Orcust, the next card on our limited list, and potentially semi-limited depending on how you look at it, is Galatea.
Yeah.
Galatea at 1 or 2 would just force you to be a little more resourceful with pure Orcust, just because even if you get rid of the engines like Sky Striker, Luna Light Orcust, pure is still a thing. And if you have more than 1 Galatea, you don't really have to be as tricky with your decisions. You can kind of just keep going into her. So putting her at 1 would, a lot like Sallow Gray, would force you to use your resources and be a little smarter when you play.
Yeah. And speaking of Sky Striker, I think the hit that I'm looking for and a lot of people are looking for is something to engage. So I think it's fair to leave Hornet Drones at 1, but I do think Engage probably should go to 1 also. A lot of people think that if you leave Engage at 3 but ban Hornet Drones, that you still get to have the engine. I would argue that you still have the engine, you just don't have the free body. Engage can still search your back row destruction, it can still search your Widow Anchor, it can still search your Banishment from the Grave. Like, it's just such a strong card, and to have it at 3 and then being able to draw cards off of it too. I think Pure Sky Striker has been around for long enough, and I do think that as an engine it's still strong and it can still be used, but it will force you to actually want to have those cards, not just the free body. And with, was it Rose? Sky Striker Ace Rose coming out, I think that those cards could just replace Engage in the deck. And it would still be a really great rogue option, it just wouldn't be tier 1 anymore. It's been tier 1 for 2 years now. Like, I do think it's time that we maybe spice the metagame up a little bit and just put Engage to 1. I'd like to see what happens. I mean, everyone thinks that multi-roll to 1 was going to kill the deck. Everyone thinks that Widow Anchor to 1 was going to kill the deck, and Kagari to 1, and like the deck is still topping. So I definitely think that Engage to 1 won't kill the deck, but it will bump it down, and I think that's what we want to see.
Next on the list is Servant of Endymion for Pendulums. This card can definitely go to 1 just because you run like 6 of it in the deck. It gets you 2 free bodies. The card's insane. We keep limiting all these searcher cards, but for some reason this deck hasn't gotten hit with the massive search engine it has. Yeah. So it just kind of seems strange that it hasn't been hit yet, and I think it's time.
When you open up Servant and like any Dark Worm or like Dragon Shrine, that's just not fun to play against. Once again, doesn't promote a healthy game state.
Negate.
So next, I think we need to talk about Salamangreat. I think Salamangreat is a very fair deck at the moment, but if we are going to power down all these other decks like Orcust and Sky Striker and Thunder combo, I do think Sala needs to take a hit. Even though it's had its search engine reduced, I still think that the recurability that it has is
bananas.
Nuts. I mean, it's bananas. You can recur your traps, you can recur all your monsters, so I think that a fair hit would be either Spinny or Will the Salamangreat to 1. Spinny just offers you free bodies, it offers you the ability to go into your Mirage Stalio and then special summon another card, and then Will is just a monster reborn every single turn, so I think not having that recursion would bring the deck down to the level of every other deck. And it's still really strong, so yeah. I don't think it's too much to ask for.
Next on the Limitless, another considerably, maybe, controversial card is there can be only 1. It's a floodgate. Floodgates aren't fun in general, but for some reason there can be only 1 just instills a different kind of rage in a lot of people when it's flipped. Yep. Especially when you're playing against, like, I don't know, Draco. I don't know, it's one of those floodgates that's just not fun. I don't know. There can be only 1 means there can be no fun. I don't think 1 is a bad call. I think 1 is totally fine. Maybe even 2. I would be fine. I just think if you see it
less often.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Semi-limit. I think this next one is garbage, but he wrote down Semi-limit Colossus. I think it's silly. I don't really think he needs to go to 2. I understand why people want him to go to 2 because he's a built-in floodgate with built-in protection. He's so good. I can't tell you. It's my own deck. Like, I have the deck. I play it. But I also play decks against that deck. And it's not hard to get rid of that and Titan. It really isn't. Compulse it. Crackdown it. Like, target it. Dynamiscus it. You can do anything against that card. Like, it's not hard to get rid of. Yeah, by battle, it's annoying and they get effects off. Maybe this is just me being an overprotected dragon mom. But, like...
You also play stun, so you main deck all those cards. But for people in the
side
deck, like there's a lot of like you can go mind control, Dark Ruler no more to shut it off. There's a lot of outs to the card, so I don't think
and perm the dang thing. Yeah. There's 1,000 cards you could play. I just don't think it's as dangerous as everyone thinks it is. Don't hurt my son. He didn't hurt anybody. He's a good boy. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
And then once again for Salamangreat, I do think that all these hits can be interchangeable. They don't need to be every single thing, but if you don't hit Spinny or if you don't hit Will, I think we should talk about maybe Sunlight Wolf going to 2. Having Sunlight Wolf be able to get you 2 cards back almost every turn is a little busted, and once again, like just the recurability that Salamangreat has, so it would force you to be a little bit more resourceful, and I don't think that opening up a slot in the extra deck for Salad will hurt.
Cool. Hot take for this next one. Sit down, folks. You're going to need it. All right, 2 things. Last 2 on our semi-limit list. Terraforming to 2. Stay with me. We're breathing. Mine to 2. Mystic Mine. All right? If we're going to bump Terraforming to 2, which I think is completely fair. Like, I don't think Terraforming has to be at 1. And I think the reason that Terraforming went to 1 was because of Orcust and because of Mystic Mine and because of a whole bunch of new decks that basically... Well, that's what I meant, Orcust. I think Terraforming can definitely come to 2, but in that case, I think Mystic Mine would blow up if it was still at 3 more than it already kind of has, because we see it a lot. But if Mystic Mine... Keep Metaverse at 1. That can stay. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know. Who are we? These are the cards we're gonna free from suffering.
I think everyone knows this. This is the obvious one that I think everyone knows is already gonna happen. But Dark Arm Dragon can come to 3.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were gonna say. I was like, no.
Yeah. So Dad, we can all have 3
Dad
dads.
can come back.
So what did you think?
We waited so long, Dad. I was gonna say Light Stage can come back. I thought that was the first one, just because that's the most popular one that everyone wants to come back to 3. Light Stage to 3.
It's a fair card. Like, it's a good card, but I do think having it at 3 and even putting Terraforming back to 2, it would make Trickstars a really good rogue option again. And Trickstars, Trickstars was fun to play against and kind of fun to play too. So I don't think it's gonna break the format if we have it again. Like, it's not.
And if Orcus gets controlled, it's really like, what are we worried about?
Yeah, and this has been like, I feel like this has been the format the last couple months of like rogue decks kind of making a resurgence. So adding another one back into the mix that everyone is already familiar with, I think it could help the game.
Justice for Rogue.
And then another one that's not hurting anybody. A Hero Lives can come back to 3. Like, Heroes is okay. Nobody's really playing them except at our locals. There's like 80 people that play them. But Nibiru kills the deck. So like if we have Nibiru at 3, which is something we could talk about next list. But I do think that A Hero Lives is fine.
Speaking of cards, I think Book of Moon can come back.
Yeah,
Book of Moon is limited right now at 1, which seems kind of bizarre because we have 1,000 monsters that can literally built-in Book of Moon. We have Guru Control, which is Book of Moon the deck. We have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and Dinosaurs, which literally Book of Moon's a field and then hits for damage. And then we have trap cards like Canadio. If we're worried about a spell, Book of Moon flipping a monster over, like, I don't think it's a problem to have it back at 3. I mean, who's really gonna play it in like a super competitive deck? Like, yes, it could be used.
Fun fact, Book of Moon would also help get over Colossus. You just flip it face down, search away.
Wow, look at this. We're solving so many problems. Who needs a ban list when you can just eat cereal with us and talk about it? I guess I'll talk about our next card. He wrote this one down. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
No, this one's a must. It's already getting reprinted in the Shadal structure deck in the OCG, so Konami, bring it back.
Wait, what card do you think I'm talking about?
Harpy's Feather Duster!
Oh, okay.
Harpy's Feather Duster can come to 1. Like, if we're having a resurgence of Rogue, a lot of Rogue is back row, so this would just pop them back. And like, I think Harpy's Feather Duster is Nibiru for back row. And if you put it at 1, it's super sacky, and that's cool. Like,
back row.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could come to 1. Maybe. These are just kind of more fun ideas at this point.
And finally, the sackiest of all cards.
Definitely not coming back. Don't hold your breath. This is just our perfect little utopic bandless world.
What do you think, Tops? Maxi.
Maxi to 1? Wow.
I think that would be sweet.
It'd be sweet, but it's also a pipe dream.
So there's a couple new sets coming out. There's the Dark Magician / Spiral support in the beginning of January, middle of January. I mean, that definitely bumps Spiral back up to like a tier 2, tier 1.5 deck. Dark Magician now goes from tier 5 to tier 4. Super cool.
It's going to tier 0, man. I'm gonna make that deck work.
And then we've got what is it? Ignition Assault.
Yeah.
In the end of January, beginning of February. Like, there's some pretty cool stuff in that too. In March is the Dual Overload set. So there's definitely a lot of cool stuff where we get Needle Fiber. We're gonna get
so many openings.
So yeah, but there's just so much stuff, but not a lot of it changes the format. So I would like to see these top tier decks kind of bumped down, and it would be sweet for us, I think, as newer kind of players.
But anyway, thank you for joining us for Breakfast and Banlists. For every Banlist prediction, we're gonna have breakfast with you guys. We're not gonna eat this because this is gonna go in the trash really soon. So don't take these predictions too seriously. These are just general predictions. Some of them are kind of funny, some of them are loose and fast, some of them are things we would genuinely like to see happen. But feel free to throw your own ideas and thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you think, because none of this is set in stone, you know? This is just us eating cereal, hanging out, having a conversation with you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more breakfast that's not this, and Banlists in the future, because this is fun and we're new and we want to have nice, long, thoughtful talks with you.
Make sure to go check us out on Instagram. And if you guys want any cards, we also have a TCGplayer link, which will be linked in the description box below. If you want custom field centers, there's also a link in the description box below. So go check all that stuff out. They make really good Christmas gifts.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We love you. You're perfect. Bye.
Bye.